There's the notification.
Okay. All right, I think we're ready to.
There's the notification.
Okay. Hi, this is Charlie Zeiss with Stargate Pyramids, and welcome to Pyramid Quest for this week, December 16th, 2019. Joining me are Lori Sasson and Bill McKenzie. Today we're going to be following up on, first off, some information that we had in our last podcast that came from Hakan, and we wanted to follow up on that. We're also going to be answering some questions that came up over the last week in the comments section of our last video. And finally, we're going to take up again some of the pictures that we were exploring in the very first podcast we did 2 weeks ago. And we'll be getting Lori and Bill's insights into that. So Bill and Lori, would you like to say hello? Have any comments for this group before we get started?
Good morning. Yes, what an exciting, journey we're having with this pyramid and things that we're learning, and how fascinating. I think it's been so long since the next civilization has started using this pyramid, and thanks to you bringing it back, it's high time that everybody have a pyramid.
Thank you.
I agree.
Okay, well, let's jump right in. I'm going to open up my screen here to the information that we're going to start to go over. And here we go. As those of you who saw the information or the podcast last week, we received some information from Hakan, who was our guest, who did some subsequent research and built some cones that are built upon his thesis. And to review, for those of you who have not seen it, you'll see at the top of the page here, what he did was he built this particular cone with a dimension that's based upon the following equation. D being the diameter of the base of the cone was equal to the Planck length times phi to a specific order of magnitude. Now he's taking this research in short verse from some work from Dan Winter, who had used this to define sizes of kind of like a scaling instrument. So Hakan's thesis was that he wanted to test out, would building a cone with a diameter, the base diameter, equal to a specific power of this equation have a greater power or energy field than other similarly done cones that are of slightly different size, but did not have this dimension, their dimensions based upon this this specific equation. So what I'm showing here is the cone that he sent us pictures of that he made after our discussions last week. And this one is done precisely as a multiple of this equation. Now he's also done one that was slightly smaller in this picture, and also one that was slightly larger than the one in the other picture. So what I'm going to do now, he sent us this final picture, which is all three of these cones side by side, and the one that's done with this equation or conforming to the equation in the middle. So I'm going to ask Lori and Bill to give us their views on the energy fields of these three cones. Lori, do you want to start first?
Sure. I was just going to say to Bill, I'm sure he's probably measured the difference between all three of these. But when I'm actually looking, if I look at the small one, I really don't have any kind of feeling that is happening, any kind of energetic flow, nor do I have in the middle one. But I get to the larger one, and the energy is fast and rapid and moving very quickly. So there is something about that larger size cone that it definitely is putting off more energy. Now they are all positive, but the one on the right is by far putting out the most energy.
Okay.
Yeah, it's interesting because starting with the cone on the left, um, the energy I get was 4,000, and it goes up by 2,000 for each cone. So it's the same increment for each cone.
So at least according to both of you, the thesis, I don't want to say it's disproved at this point, but neither one of you are finding that there's an advantage. And in fact, it seems that the energy fields are directly related to the size of the underlying cone. Am I correct?
That is what I'm getting. But let's take it in perspective a little bit. What if a mouse was underneath the smaller left cone and had a low frequency already? That would absolutely increase that mouse's energy, wouldn't you think? I mean, that would be my take from that, and that maybe the smaller like 4K, which Bill is saying that is putting off, might have a frequency change for living organisms with a lower frequency. Does that make sense?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, okay. And it may be, and we might want to look at this, there may be a difference with the cone size depending on the species.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Well, you think it has anything to do with the size of the species under the cone?
Exactly.
But taking that to the next step, I mean, these all represent party hats or dunce caps. So if we put a larger species underneath it, will it have the same effect?
It would, or are you asking me?
I'm just throwing it out. More of a question, really.
Right. So, for example, we're in this similar shape, and this is a man-made size for us, and we have this energy field, right? Now, does this energy field have the same effect for maybe an elephant? Absolutely not, right? I feel like the elephant would need a larger size to have the similar effect. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Was that what you were saying?
I guess that's what I was leading to.
Okay.
I was just saying that, I mean, we've demonstrated that there is an effect of putting these objects on top of, as opposed to being inside of.
Right. And that was the next thing I was going to say. If you then took the large one and put it on top of that middle one and put it up on top of that small one, the amount of energy that would come from that is way bigger than if it was just one. And you could probably maybe test for that, Bill?
We'll try. Wow. So that came out to about 22,000, so close to 3 times the energy of the larger one.
It's funny, I got the same thing when I went to ask if we put all 3 of them on top, what would be the number? I got the same number, so that's awesome. Yeah, it is. And what a difference.
All right. So
what's your take on that, Charlie?
well, I want to make sure I got this right. So Bill, you're saying 22,000 for all 3 stacked together, correct? correct?
On top of each other. Yes.
On top of each other. And what were the three values that you got separately?
4, 6, and 8, starting from the left.
Well, 8 and 6 is, excuse me, 8 and 6 is 14 and 4 is 18.
Yeah.
So you're saying you're getting 22.
Yeah.
So it's actually additive,
Yeah.
or excuse me, it's a second order function, I should say. It's more than additive. And so it kind of, that tends to confirm what DNA Davidson was saying, that you get a kind of a second order effect when you start to stack pyramids on top of each other. So I think that's an interesting result in and of itself. And, you know, some of the stuff that we were doing last week, it confirms with when Laurie would put the party hat on, that her energy field was going up through the roof as well.
50 million. Just think about that for a minute. It was really it was as if you're taking a charger from your soul, plugging it in and powering it up. And if we think about this a little bit more, think about energy field around us. We always have been told about the law of attraction, what's going on around us, and how it doesn't discriminate. It has no idea, you know, it doesn't say positive, negative. It just it brings back to you what you put out. So think about that for a minute. You're inside this pyramid. If you had several other cones increasing that energy even more, whatever you're putting out, the universe is going to bring back to you. So my suggestion is putting all positive energy and just thinking how grateful you are in the world and life that you have what maybe you don't already have that is necessary in your life.
Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe what we can, if Hakan is watching, maybe for next week, what we could ask him to do would be to take a photo of these three stacked, you know, inside of each other like Russian dolls, and send us a photo of those along with just the large cone alone, and we can see if we get if you two can literally detect the difference between the one that's a standalone and the one that's where the other two are stacked inside and you can't see it. I'm sure you will be able to do that. So.
Yes, and we had a gentleman by the name of Ron. I believe he's out of Australia. Is that correct, Bill?
Yes.
You know, do this already with some cones, and the frequency. Remember, we were saying how it gave him an alchemy energy. So being able to turn things, you know, and I say alchemy is more energetic, that you can turn a negative energy to a positive very quickly. And that's what alchemy is to me when I think about it. So he was interested in actually taking these cones and increasing water in areas where water wasn't available. Mm-hmm. And I truly believe that could happen as well.
Right. Okay. Well, we're going to move on now to these next two pictures are coming to us from a viewer as well who wanted to get Laurie and Bill's reading on two pyramids that he has in his home. The first, as you can see, is a copper Giza-style pyramid that looks like has a ball hanging from the top, maybe shungite. I don't know what the mineral is, but he wanted to get Bill and Laurie's feedback on this pyramid. So we'll start with Laurie.
Okay, and I apologize for those people that have these pyramids right off the bat, because I will tell you right away, this is blocking energy. This is blocking you from receiving transformation, receiving miracles, receiving magic. I mean, this energy here is actually blocking things from your life. And I know maybe some people want it blacked. I guess that would be up to them. But this here, it does not feel like a positive energy to me. And I'll turn it over to Bill to see what he thinks on that.
So the first question I asked was, is this a positive energy? And I got a no. And then the second question was, well, so what is the level of that negative energy? And it was 10K.
Negative energy. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And here's the important, significant part of that. It doesn't matter what type of crystal or thing you have hanging from the top of it, it's not going to change that negative energy. It may increase the negative energy, but it's not going to decrease the negative energy.
Because crystals absorb energy, no matter if it's negative or positive.
Right. Again, like the universal law of energy.
Okay.
It's not going to discriminate.
Okay.
Which is why you always have to clear your crystals when you work with different people.
And if you can describe what you do to clear it, that would be great.
Oh, I just, I scramble, cut, and remove the energy.
Okay.
And transmute it into something more positive, like
Okay.
love, gratitude, water, even,
Water will do it. A lot of times people put it in sunlight. People will put it in some fresh dirt. I actually hold it myself, and I just ask for any energies like you, Bill, to clear, cut, release. Sometimes there's that myth out there that sometimes a soul can be stuck in a stone or a crystal. And I've actually experienced that. So it's been a pleasure being able to release someone from that crystal.
Okay, we'll move on to the next pyramid. And this is looks like it's a PVC pyramid that it's actually a Nubian geometry, not a Russian, a little bit smaller slant angle. So, Lori, again, if you could comment first.
Right. Again, this is a very positive energy. If I calculated the K, I get an 18K out of this one. It's expanding people's psychic vision, their soul, their power. I feel really good. And for example, right there, the chair is at a low point of the pyramid. As it goes up higher, if this chair goes up higher, they stand, it's going to increase the energy even more, as we found out.
Okay.
It's funny you said 18K because that's what I got. And it also was positive energy. And so let's maybe talk about why we think the energy increases as we go higher into the apex of the pyramid.
Well, and my understanding is the vortexes are increasing as you go up in the pyramid, and they are decreasing as you go lower in the pyramid.
Could it possibly be that the slant angle has something to do with it? Because it's interesting to note that with a Giza pyramid, the slant angle is so much lower. And I don't know if we've talked about negative green energy yet, but
No.
It seems that with a Giza pyramid, the negative green energy has a sense of going from top to bottom, whereas in the Nubian or the Russian, the negative green energy starts to flow up.
Okay, and I'm just going to interject here just for a second, because Charlie has talked to me about green energy, and what we found is it's not positive nor negative. So
right.
This is where I'm a little confused on how we would look at that.
Yeah, I'm looking to get someone, and if anyone is listening to this is an expert in biogeometry or the detection of these energy fields, I'd love to hear from you so we could have you on one of our podcasts to discuss negative green energy. It's a topic that I've heard a lot about, at the shows that I've attended this year, and been looking for someone to discuss that who really knows that in detail. But to finish up, to give you the torsion physics explanation of this, there are, torsion waves move in spirals, and that spiral is moving in a clockwise direction going up. And, the way I did determine this geometry, and it was done from Russian torsion physics research that says that a pyramid or a cone that is shaped in the geometry of the phi spiral is going to be the most efficient at capturing this energy. And so I think that that's really a big part of the answer. You've got the spiral at a much larger, diameter, and it speeds up as it becomes smaller and smaller going towards the top. And that seems to be the reason there's a kind of a point of aggregation at the top of the pyramid where the torsion fields are spinning, or the torsion waves are spinning at an extremely high frequency. And that supposedly is the reason for the multidimensional aspects of these pyramids.
Well, I'm going to add that, yes, you're correct on the clockwise and what you're talking about, but even internally inside the upper area of this pyramid, there's vortexes that are also going clockwise in all directions. It's not just going in one direction, it's going in all directions. Okay. And that is to increase your, almost like increase your law of attraction, if you will, if I can put it in a term that people understand.
Yeah.
What we've also found is it's also creating a different air field for you. So you're breathing different air that is healthier than what might be outside the pyramid. Now, it would be hard, I would think, for anyone to scientifically get that information. But when you're talking about multidimensionals, that tells me that what we're really doing is getting multidimensional, say, if you will, portals, and possibly getting, frequencies from there that are really enhancing our existence as we're within this pyramid.
Okay. Well, before we move on, actually, Hakan has written back and has some more questions. He said, we have pyramidal neurons in our brains. How does wearing a dunce cap affect our neurons?
It increases them. It increases whatever the neuron is doing. It increases that in our environment. So it's almost like an antenna bringing it directly to you. That's what I'm saying. The fact of the matter is, it's very significant and important that when you have something in your mind while in the pyramid or using these dunce hats, as you so call them, to make sure that you're recognizing the power that you're using while doing it.
Okay. Bill, any thoughts on that?
No, I think that makes a lot of sense. Just be careful what you think.
Well, here's a question. Since I'm starting to watch Joe Dispenza's new series on Gaia called Rewired. I mean, he speaks a lot about brain function and building neuronal connections. This idea just came to me. So does the use of the pyramid either increase the strength of neuronal connections and or increase the number of neuronal connections that we make while we're thinking about a particular object sitting under the pyramid?
So I'm going to think out loud here for a moment, because Joe Dispenza is always popular with saying what wires together, fires together, triggers together, correct? So,
right.
So what you're thinking about, acting about, it increases. For example, brushing your teeth every morning and every night. You get a wire that's constant to the point where it's almost a subconscious thing you don't even think about.
That's right.
Okay, so when it comes to being in the pyramid and we're putting those neurons in, that is not either increasing or decreasing it. It is just, for example, whatever neuron you're putting out for the moment, it's increasing that. So it would be, for example, say for instance, I'm grateful that the sun is out today and that it's going to be an amazing day. That's going to increase the neuron for me today that is going to exist.
Okay. But is it when you say it's increasing the neuron, is it making a stronger neural connection, just like experience would in your toothbrushing example? Am I making myself clear?
I understand what you're saying, but when I ask my guidance, if I were to think about brushing my teeth every morning and night while in the pyramid, does that increase the neuron to be tighter wired together? No, not necessarily. But I will say, when you and I started talking today, you recognized that there was a different energy with me. And it felt like when I was talking about it in the pyramid, it felt like it was getting worse. And I thought, I'm not feeling, I don't want to feel any worse. But I felt like because I was talking about those things, it was creating a greater feeling of that I wasn't aware of. Let me put it that way. So if there was an emotion I wasn't feeling, it was making me feel it. So, I mean, and it was interesting that I was feeling them because people were feeling them when they were around me, but I wasn't feeling them.
Okay.
So it was enhancing that, which I think being in touch with your emotions and really knowing what's going on with it is extremely important, especially if you're following your soul and wanting to go, closer to your purpose. That is extremely important, to be in touch with your emotions. Now, having said that, I'm usually an extremely positive person. And as we found out this morning, I was taking on somebody else's emotions. And of course, when I'm in the pyramid, that neuron of feeling that other person's emotion is going to increase. So now that I've cleared that, I feel fantastic. And in fact, my heart rate is going up as we're talking. And it's just amazing how I almost feel like I got a jolt of great energy sitting here today.
Even though we don't have a slide on this, Lori, it might be an interesting digression here for a moment to tell people about the information you distributed to us last week after our last podcast about your heart rate and what happened to it while you were under the pyramid.
Yeah, I think what's so funny is I try to walk 10,000 steps a day. It's just something I try to do and get my heart rate up, and it's just good health, right? Well, I was recognizing that as I sit underneath the pyramid, my heart rate is going to an extreme fat burn for, as long as I'm sitting underneath the pyramid. I'm like, wow, what do I need to walk for? I just sit in the pyramid. It'll increase my heart rate. And it's just fascinating how that works. But again, like we said, we're increasing the neurons. So it would make sense that increasing the neurons would have an effect to your physical body. And we've heard this time and time again, Olympians that actually imagine themselves at a starting line and running and then finishing triggered those muscles as if they actually did the run just by imagining it. So of course our neurons are triggering our physical body at the same time.
Wow. Okay. Well, we have Hakan is busy again. He's got another question. He says, does the dunce cap help brain disorders like Alzheimer's? And he says, because Alzheimer kills pyramidal neurons. He's making that statement. Do you think, what are your thoughts on it?
Just to say, when you talked about Hakan sending more information, I still feel a left side stiffness in his neck, just so he knows. Also, when he talked about Alzheimer's and what the pyramid will do, it actually stopped my energy. It feels like, and I'm just going to say this, I've never said this before, I was never aware of this, but it seems when people have Alzheimer's, their neurons are going in a different direction. And that, now that I said this, that if the intention for the person to be underneath the pyramid was focusing on their neurons being in the correct direction or going clockwise, it might have a huge effect on their diagnosis.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So do you have to intend that your neurons go in a certain direction if you have?
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Most Alzheimer's patients aren't, I don't know if they're going to be able to do that. Let me see. So say, for instance, you have this pyramid and then you took those 3 cones that Hakan has and puts it on an Alzheimer person. That would literally change the neurons of the person's brain.
To the good.
And you know, I know Charlie and I have talked about this, you know, outside the video and live footage here, but I have talked about how this pyramid is literally healing the body automatically just by sitting in it. So I make sure I sit in it as often as possible. But it also, of course, we're looking at, you know, changes your flow of your body, changes your spine, it changes your breathing. We talk about this time and time about the breathing. It is literally changing whatever negative fields are on the outside of this pyramid. You're only getting the positive side effects of it. And then, of course, the spiritual side of it is you're connecting more to your guidance. You're connecting more to the angelic realm, for those of you that believe and get into that. But we're also talking about positive ETs that we're contacting and being in touch with. So another great positive thing about the pyramid.
Great. All right, we have another a person. I'm going to use your last name, Eric. Everyone can see it out there. It's Eric Crumb, C-R-U-M-B. And the reason I'm spelling it for Lori and Bill, he's asking, I am sitting in my pyramid. Can you get a reading on it? So I assume he means a reading of his energy fields. But Eric, if I'm misinterpreting that, please, you know, let me know and I'll reorient it. Remember, there's a 20-second time delay here, so we might be a little late getting back to you. But can you get a reading, either one of you, just from the name?
Well, I'm going to let Bill see if he can't get something, but then I'm going to tell you what I get.
Okay.
I got a 26,000.
Okay, and I'm going to tell you a few things that I feel when we tap into him. His 3rd chakra is out. There's a block in his success, and there's a block in his soul's abundance. So tell him to hang on, and I'm going to clear some energy and then ask if he can feel me doing this. All right, now his energy is flowing very fast. Bill, if I I can get you to, if you wouldn't mind checking his energy again. What was the name again?
Eric Crumb, Crumb.
Okay.
He's up to like 37 now.
Okay, good.
Okay, so that's up from 26, right?
Yep.
Okay. So that's about a 50% increase just through the clearing process. Now, Hakan is saying, I'm wearing dunce cap now too. Can you check my energy too? He says.
Is he also in the pyramid, or does he just have the dunce cap on?
It just says I'm wearing dunce cap now too. So Hakan, if you can, clarify whether you're under a pyramid or not, or just wearing the dunce cap. Just the cap, says Hakan.
Yeah, and it's funny, before you even said it, I got a 22K on him, and I don't know what Bill got. But I'll tell you, his neck relaxes more with those caps on.
I got 20, so close.
It's still increased his energy to the point that his neck is relaxing. And
Hakan says he's not in the pyramids, just so you know.
yeah.
And Eric has commented back. He says, that makes so much sense, a block and a third chakra in abundance.
Okay.
Thank you for the clearing.
You're welcome. Welcome. Hakan, again, what I there's some conflicts with words and like conflict with another person that I keep getting when I tap into his energy.
Okay. And Eric, if you would, if you could comment back whether you're feeling any difference with the clearing. So while we're waiting on them to respond, why don't we move on to our next page?
Okay.
These are some of the other questions that we got from last week. The first one was, have you doused the inside of the pyramid? And I'll answer that in terms of using the Lecker antenna. We have certainly doused the energy field inside of the pyramid. We've determined that, as you can tell from Lori and Bill's observations as well, the energy field gets much higher the higher you go up inside the pyramid. So,
you know what, at first I'm like, yes, of course we've done that, but this is interesting. This is very interesting. Bill, would you be able to step outside the pyramid and then douse the energy inside the pyramid? I mean, I imagine you holding your hand in there. Will the hand have an effect? Okay, the hand won't have an effect. So if you could douse your, like put your arm inside it and douse the energy inside. Let's see what the numbers are with that.
$20K.
See, and I got 22, which is close enough. And I'm kind of curious. Here it is bigger, right, Bill? But it doesn't seem to have a higher frequency until a person, a living organism, gets in and starts increasing it. And so there is some significant and I don't know if you guys understand that or why that would be, but we, for whatever reason, depending on our energy, increase the output of it. So
Let me
that's that's something to really dive into and maybe have a whole
well,
live thing about that.
let me try it this way. I mean, this is just a thought, but you know, we are 75% roughly by volume water, and in terms of the number of molecules, we're about 99% water. Water is a crystal. So does that explain it?
No, but I like that theory.
It's wrong, but it's a good try.
I like it.
Well, it also goes to the point that you can put rocks inside the pyramid and then leave them there for a few days and then take them outside and put them in your garden.
That's right.
And supposedly your garden will have more energy, you know, just sort of uses like that. So,
Well, that's true. That's true.
I love that. I resonate with that. And now, when you did that test, Bill, do you still have your crystals inside your pyramid?
yes.
So do you think by taking those out, it would be a different number?
I can try.
Well, let's try that really quick.
So I'll just go outside and do it again.
Yes, please.
Okay. And while Bill's doing that, Eric has written back and he says, my solar plexus feels lighter and more flowing energy from the clearing. And then he says, what are the number readings referring to? Well, this is called, I believe, a Bovis scale that Bill and Lori are using. And when he's through, I'll have him try to explain that in a little bit greater detail. And while we're at it, I might as well talk about our classes because Bill's going to be explaining this scale and teaching us all how to dowse in his upcoming introduction to dowsing class.
In January, right? I'm excited.
That's right. Starting in January, Bill's class is going to start on Tuesday, January the 7th.
And what's interesting, Eric, I know you didn't ask about this, but I think you need to move.
So
it didn't change it? Okay.
I'm getting 16K.
Oh, it did change it. It did change it. Isn't that interesting?
Slightly lower.
16K.
So, I mean, I've had these crystals in here for quite a while now.
So tell us again exactly what you did. I'm sorry, I was reading comments.
I just took my crystals. I have crystals.
Right.
I just stick them in the corners of my pyramid. And I put some intentions into them, depending on their color. I just leave them there.
But taking them out, but what I'm asking is, you just did a test and that taking them out had an impact on the energy field?
It lowered it.
Lowered it, yeah. Just like putting the quartz sand inside the base pipes, I would assume. Yeah.
Something similar, I would think.
Yeah. Okay.
Does that make sense, Lori?
It does, but I'm still asking my guidance why it is that when we get in, it increases. What is it that's causing it to increase? And it has taken me forever to figure this out. Oh, okay. All right. Now I'm going to ask you to be more specific, Bill, when I ask you to do this. And you can sit there and just, if you can measure the air inside this pyramid and be specific on the air.
What's the energy of the air?
Yes.
inside the pyramid.
Yeah.
$22K.
That's exactly what I got. And for whatever reason, is it any type of air being 22K or more increases our soul. So Charlie, mark that down. There's something significant, and I'm not sure we're meant to know that, but just so you know.
All right, I'll put that down.
Isn't that fascinating?
So it's the air inside the pyramid?
It's the air. So you wonder what else is in the pyramid. Ask how many things are in the pyramid, Bill.
How many?
Yep.
How many things? Okay.
Well,
Do you know the answer, Charlie?
well, no, I was going to say, I'm not sure that
It's
question
unlimited.
has the level of specificity that we need. Are you talking about the carpet and the?
No, it's unlimited. The actual energy field in the pyramid is unlimited. There is no number.
Well, so that you kept saying at some point last week, I think we were off camera, but how you were seeing infinity signs everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, that it was like increasing, like Bill, you and I have an infinity between each other. Charlie, you and I have an affinity in between each other. And it like increases the energy field of infinities between other things. And it doesn't matter what it is, it increases it.
But what is it?
The more the infinities,
I just
you wanna like
well, is it an energy field? Is it what is it?
what is the infinity between us?
Yeah.
Whatever that may be. For example, if it's positivity, it's just going to be more infinities of that. If it's negative energy, it's going to be more infinities of that. Does that make sense? And that is one thing I've recognized the more I've had this pyramid is really identifying, I mean, so many things that I started identifying, that people that use me, people that may just be victims constantly, certain types of patterns that now that I'm at this age, I can look at my girls and see similar patterns that happened to me when I was that age. And it seems to be appearing in them now. I mean, it's just so fascinating. And as you know, Bruce Lipton has talked about before, it starts at a genetic level. So it happens even generations before I even existed. And so we're talking about when we start increasing these infinities, you get more clarity. And then, like you're saying, Charlie, do we rewire? We start changing our behaviors and making different actions that then eventually rewire our brain. So I think down the road, we absolutely are doing that. It's not necessarily in the pyramid, it's just through our actions. Okay. And I know as anyone else, the minute you start changing something, the universe says, did you really change this? I'm going to give you several other examples of this. Did you really change it? And if you correctly change those behaviors with all of those experiences, then yes, you have rewired your neurons.
Okay. Well, Eric's come back with a couple more comments. He says, wow, that is funny. You say I need to move. Message received. and then he also has said, intelligent infinity, AKA love. So.
Oh, awesome. Thank you, Eric. And then just make sure, Eric, that when you're in the pyramid, you're facing west. Hakan, also when you have those cones on your head, make sure you face west. It makes a huge difference. It really does. We haven't determined what that is yet, but I'm sure we will eventually.
Okay. Hakan also brings up, does putting the crystals at the top of the pyramid charge them better? And I guess he means then putting them lower down. in the pyramid.
And I'm just going to say it doesn't make a difference, but I'll let Bill speak for that.
I get a yes.
It does make a difference?
So your suggestion is what, Bill?
I'm suggesting that the higher you are, the higher the crystals are, the more energy they receive.
Okay. Okay. All right,
we'll have to try, try that, I guess.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah. Okay. All right, the next question, Bill, is for you. It says, what's clipped to Bill's pyramid over his right shoulder?
It's just a little camera tripod that,
Yeah, something. Okay.
There.
All right.
And it's made out of plastic, so there's no metal.
Okay. But actually, that's part of the same question. Does the material of the chair you're sitting in or sitting on within the pyramid affect anything? And I'd say yes. You want it to be non-metallic and non-conductive to the extent possible. Bill and I sit in a wooden chair for this purpose when I meditate. Bill and I both sit in Poang chairs, which have a few metal screws, but otherwise are metal free.
Right.
So all right, going to move on to the next page of questions. Peter Bagshaw says, I've heard that 100% silk is great for electric conductivity. After watching your video on dunce caps and the previous one where Laurie wore the hat within the pyramid and how it increased, curious what a silk hat would register.
Well, I don't know how you would make a hat out of silk, but.
Well, I'm not sure either, but I think the question is, would maybe, I think that the question is, would putting, a silk scarf or some kind of silk cloth around a pyramid or a cone have an impact on its energy?
I'm getting no.
I get a no as well. I think we were asked that last week, but we might have been off camera.
Yeah, I think we were. Yeah.
Well, and if you want to decorate it a certain way, it's not going to cause a problem. If it's on the outside, no problem at all.
Okay. And then the next one was, could you ask or test to see if weather, sunlight, or environmental conditions affect the energy?
And I get a no on that.
Yeah, I get a no also.
Okay. All right. Well, then we're going to move on. We've got a couple of more minutes here, so we'll go through a couple of more of these slides. I put a couple of different hats together for us to talk about. One is a picture of a party hat. Of course, this is similar to what Laurie's been wearing, but I wanted to also compare that to the witch hat and the dunce cap. So I'm going to ask everyone to just comment on this briefly. First, the party hat.
The party hat I get is a really great energy, feels really good. I get about an 8K from that hat right there.
Okay. And Bill, are you testing?
Yeah, I got about a 9K.
Okay. All right, so we're roughly the same there, and then.
And it's positive.
And it's positive. Yes.
Positive. Yep. Agreed.
Okay. Now let's go on to the witch hat, which is the same geometry, and see what we get.
Well, and I get an 8K with a negative. So,
Yeah, I get it negative also.
Okay. Now, let me ask this. Does the, I've asked this off camera, but does the color of the hat have anything to do with the energy field?
It does not, but looking at it now, it's probably because of the person. When I tap into this person, which no longer exists, of that person today, I mean, they may be here, but a different being, my throat gets sore. I just have some really bad energy when I tap into this person.
Okay.
That was a male, correct?
No, that's the Wicked Witch of the West.
Right, but wasn't a male that played him, or was it a female?
No, this is a female. This is the Wicked Witch of the West from The Wizard of Oz.
And it was a female that played him,
Yeah.
or played the witch. Oh, well, I get very negative energy. Does anyone know this actress?
Yeah, she's very famous.
Was she positive or negative?
She was generally positive.
I mean, she probably made a good face, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that she was positive.
All right. Well, let me try something here real quickly. I'm going to go back in and I'm going to actually move the picture in such a way that you will not be able to see anything but the hat.
Okay, that'd be good.
Now, I don't know if that will help but anyway, see what you get just by looking at the hat.
Okay, I get about an 8K again and positive.
Yeah, it's positive.
Yeah, so it was the person.
Okay. Well, that's an interesting exercise right there.
That was great, Charlie.
Yeah. All right.
I get 8K also. So it's very visual what we're doing then, on top of everything else.
Yeah. So, well, let me ask it this way. Is it just the image of the person? Was it the role they were playing, or can you tell what it was about the picture of that person that changed the energy from negative to positive?
You know what? As I tap into it and you ask those questions, I'm being told she was asked to be very hateful. And that was the term that they used, and that would make sense. Okay. So it was a really hateful energy. And like I said, the throat goes out. And I don't know if anybody knows this, but when you get into a negative, hateful energy and even kind of get so upset, it disconnects you from the divinity. And I don't know if anybody knows that. I think they feel it at times when they're just so upset or angry, and there's a total disconnect.
Wow.
And that's why some people's energy really gets low and it goes down very quickly, because what they're doing is they are disconnected and they have to reconnect somehow.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now I'm just going to go back again. You're getting, both of you, I think, got 8K from this hat.
And positive.
Positive. And now you're both getting 8K positive from this hat.
Correct.
Okay. And now the dunce cap.
Well, I think it's fair to point out that, we're just measuring the object,
right,
now instead of the context.
Right.
So
right. Now I get a 9K positive on this.
It's positive. Yeah, 9K.
9K? Okay. All right. So.
Well, go back to that Tesla one there, right there, just for a second.
Oh, sure. Well, that's the
next. This is what's interesting. Now it's turned upside down.
Well, this is right side up, and now it's upside down. Yeah.
Okay. So now that's right side up that you're showing.
Correct. For the pyramid, you're correct. You want to go
I
back to the other one?
What that, I mean, go back just for a second.
This one?
Yeah, I get a 10K and I get it's positive. Okay.
Okay.
And let Bill do what he does.
Okay.
I get like a 9K.
And tell me, is there a different angle in this, Charlie, than yours?
No, it's exactly the same.
Okay. And then turn.
Oops.
Oh. And so now I'm getting a 10K negative. And it hurts my left side of my neck.
Yeah, negative.
You're negative as well, Bill?
Yes.
Okay. So, isn't this interesting?
So everyone driving their car that's a Tesla and they're looking at that is creating a negative energy.
I get
Wow.
11K, but that's close enough.
So Bill, your car you're driving is you're looking at the logo, it's creating a negative energy.
I don't drive much, so thankfully I don't see it.
Do you have a Tesla?
Oh, no, no, no.
I was joking.
Oh, okay. I was wondering.
I would definitely cover up that logo though.
Yeah. Wow.
But get this, Charlie. This is what, turn it back around. Now, when we look at this right here, that creates abundance as we're looking at it. So just think of that symbol like that is creating abundance. Now, just the opposite, it's doing just the opposite.
Creating scarcity.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Interesting, isn't it? They didn't consult us before they did a logo.
Well, I'm sure they knew what they were doing.
I will tell you this, and I told Charlie this off camera. Many years ago, in 2007, I knew if all the hospitals used more of a triangular shape with healing patients and doing lights that were triangle, things like that, the patient would heal quicker and faster as opposed to a round circular light or, object above them as they were operating or whatever. And what I found interesting is the TV company, let me think of what it's called. LG, is that what it's called?
Life's Good, right? LG.
Is that the TV company?
Yes.
Okay, they have a logo that makes it look like a face, and
Yes.
I was telling a guy that worked for them that if they would just change that circle in the eye to a triangle, they would increase their sales. And he thought I was ridiculous to go and tell them to do that. He thought it was the most ridiculous thing he'd ever heard of. And, sad story about this guy. He ended up dying in the Von Mauer shooting here in Omaha.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really unfortunate. But he just would not go to the bigwigs and say, they could have done it for like a Halloween promotion or something just to see how it went, and create an eye that was more of a triangle than the shape of a circle.
Well, I've been going back and forth. I use my temple test, and I'll tell you what, I get a lot more pressure on my temples when I look at it this way, and then it seems to be relieved when I turn it this way.
Good for you, Charlie. Good for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. So, all right, we can do a couple of more here. This is a Native American teepee. It's about 10 degrees off the geometry of the Stargate Pyramid, but it'd be interesting to see what you all get for this.
I get about an 8K and positive again.
Okay.
Positive.
Okay. And then I'm showing some obelisks. These are some obelisks that came originally from Egypt and are now in Istanbul.
Positive.
I get very negative. I get that these are pulling power from people's souls.
Now, I wonder if we do the same thing and I actually move the picture down to where you're only looking at the pyramid on top, whether you're going to get a different. Let's try that. Bear with me here.
Is that your phone, Charlie?
It is, yes. It's.
I'd have to just reduce the image itself, Charlie.
Yeah, I guess that's what I'll have to do.
No, it won't do that. Oh, there we go.
There we go. Now we'll.
I still get a negative.
Okay.
They'll get a positive.
Maybe we need to come back to that one next week.
Well, I mean, either it's affecting my energy or it's, you know, blocking his. That's how I would look at it. Bill, is that at least affecting my energy and my energy alone?
Right. Okay. Is there a way to test for that?
Yeah. Well, we're both being affected by it.
Okay, so am I being affected by it negatively?
Yes.
Are you being affected by it positively?
Yes.
Yeah, I wonder what the difference is there. Is it the amount of power?
Nope.
How about the power of soul love?
I totally forgot about this. Hakan is just saying to us, I visit there often because it's in Istanbul where he lives.
Oh.
He said it may be the writings on the obelisks that are causing the negativity. That's a question.
Hakan actually has a positive energy when he goes there, like Bill does. And Bill, what was your answer?
Yes, to your question.
Is my power of soul love higher than yours?
Yes.
So when you get a particular energetic level with power of soul love, it starts blocking it. And I mean, literally, my whole internal organs are hurting and feeling terrible. So just by looking at that, that's what it's doing to me. So it's doing harm to me.
Wow.
Okay. Do you think it has anything to do with the writing on it?
Well, let me ask this, Bill. Is it making sure that your and Hakan and Charlie's power of soul love stays at a particular level?
Is it keeping us at a particular level
Of power of soul love?
Yes.
Is it only males?
Good point. Yes.
Okay, that helps me a lot. And Hakan could probably say this. Is it more masculine energy and power there?
There being Istanbul or
Yes,
obelisk?
Istanbul.
So the question for Hakan is there more masculine energy there?
No, is masculine energy more in power there? Do they have any female women in power is what I'm asking.
Oh. Is it more of a male
Dominant,
dominant society?
yes.
So I'll see if he answers that question.
And then I want to answer Bill's question because I believe the obelisk must have something to do with that.
Okay.
And they've always referred that shape as like a male anatomy, always.
Yes, that's right.
Whether it's buildings, whether it's that structure in particular, whether it's the one in Washington, D.C.
Right.
He's saying, yes, I can say so. I think what he's saying is, yes, it's a male, more male dominant.
And Hakan is young.
More male dominant society can be said here, yes.
Does Hakan agree with that? I mean, he's young. He knows, we've learned throughout history that it's more important to have an equal energy of both energies in order to have more of a peace and I don't know, purity, if you will.
Just
right.
Balance.
What'd you find, Bill?
I was not really doing anything. So what am I looking for?
You're going to ask now if the obelisk is what's creating a more masculine dominant energy.
Yes.
Okay. And if that didn't exist, it might create a more harmonious energy.
That's a question.
Well, I'm going to have you do this, Charlie. If you bring back those obelisks back, I'm going to change some energy.
So let me ask a question before you do that.
Okay.
Is there another object or shape that can negate or transmute this energy?
And I get a no, but I will tell you what it does to me immediately. It does something to my third eye. And so that means it's feminine third eye. And remember, we talked about this, that feminine third eye pineal gland and environment is a 666. Masculine third eye pineal gland environment is a 777. And where have we seen 777 over and over again? In the Masons, in the, Akan brought that up last week, is anywhere having to do with the Masons.
The Freemasons?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Akan wrote back, he says, like in the Vatican, and I'm not sure exactly what he's referring to there, but he also said, as far as I know, the obelisk is male and the dome is female energy.
That is correct. He's absolutely right. Boy, he knows his stuff. So as we're looking at this, where is this located? In Paris?
One is in Paris. This is one of two twin obelisks that originally came from Egypt. I believe these are from, well, it was either Luxor or Karnak. I honestly can't remember right now, but there's this one in Paris and there's also one in New York, or in London, excuse me.
Okay. And I'm not familiar with Paris or London, but are those also male dominant?
I wouldn't think Paris would be. It's the city of love, isn't it?
Yeah. I wouldn't.
Well, and the French what's her head? She's pretty prominent.
Oh, Marie Antoinette?
Yeah, she's pretty masculine at the same time too. Okay, let's ask this, Bill. This energy right now, what we're looking at, the needle of Paris,
Yes.
is it putting out a negative energy for females?
Yes.
Okay. That's all we need to ask. So I'm just going to clear out the energy. I'm going to find out how I can do this. Just give me a second. You guys can talk.
Okay.
Talks amongst ourselves.
Hakan is saying that I believe it's Hagia Sophia is close to that area.
Ah, and that's the big dome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hagia Sophia.
Does that bring in more feminine energy to that place?
Is the Hajj positive energy? Hagia Sophia, yes.
And does it bring in more females is what I'm asking.
Yes.
Okay.
Does.
That's interesting.
So do you think there's a point in between those two where it would be balanced out?
Well, I don't know where the obelisks are located, but it would be interesting. And after I'm done with this, Charlie, would you bring those obelisks back as the normal photo again, please?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Okay, I just cleared some energy. We're going to give it a minute to readjust itself, but right now it feels neutral. All right, now let's test this and see if there's a negative energy coming off of it for females.
No.
Yeah, it's completely changed. I mean, I feel fantastic looking at this now.
My temples don't have any pressure either.
It's amazing though, Charlie, that you even felt it, even looking at it, because you're a masculine energy. My thing about that is we both have masculine and feminine energies. And it's important to have those balanced. If we had more masculine energy in some areas and less in feminine, it really makes a huge difference.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I can definitely feel a difference in my head now that you've cleared this.
I mean, it's lighter. It feels better. Let's go back to the one in Paris.
Okay.
I mean, the same thing there.
Yep.
Did you clear this one also?
Yes.
Yeah, I can feel it.
I actually did all objects that look like this.
Oh, wow.
No matter where they are in the galaxy. I just did the whole galaxy. I'm like, not even wasting my time with Earth. Let's just be fun, right?
Right.
Well, thank you for that.
And then just to make sure that the dome, it's not causing any negative energy for men, correct? Let's just make sure the dome isn't doing that.
Okay. I get a no.
Okay, good.
Causing negative energy.
Good.
For men.
All right. We've gotten some comments. Sullen Riot writes, hello, just tuned in. The obelisks are strategically located in the world's power centers where key lines converge. And then Hakan,
like he's talking ley lines, right?
I believe so, yeah.
He was probably wanting to say ley lines and it probably auto.
Oh, I'm sorry. I misread it. Forgive me. It's my bad eyesight. It does say where ley lines converge, not key lines. ley
He's
lines.
absolutely correct. He is
Yes.
absolutely correct.
Yes.
And again, I mean, and let's just ask his opinion. Do you think it's to keep men in power?
So Sullen Riot, if you can answer that, answer us there on that question. Do you think that this is to keep men in power? We'd appreciate it. Hakan has written back as well and said, "Oh my God, you help lots of people visiting that area in Istanbul."
I get a yes. I get a yes on that, Lori.
Okay. A yes on which one? Thank you. Thank you, Hakan.
The obelisk being built on ley lines to keep men in power.
Okay. Now it'll be interesting what'll happen now. I mean, I get chills. It just is very significant that there is a civilization that thought that was important, but at this day and age, we have some brilliant existence out there. We just need the brilliant people to come forth. And, you know, I think in the next 2 years, things are going to change a lot. Even astrologically, if you look at things, we've got Pluto and Saturn in Capricorn right now, which is huge, but it's about to go into Aquarius. And things that we never knew were going to change in the next 2 years that we never even imagined. And I can look at just psychically that our technology is going to change so much in the next 2 years. We'll be amazed. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if we really get out of using gasoline altogether.
Well, this is probably a good place to kind of stop for today. We've got more slides and more questions, and I think this has been a real interesting and beneficial session. And I can't wait for maybe Hakan to come back next week, hopefully, and see if there's been some changes, if he has a chance to go to the site of this obelisk in Istanbul. So
great. And thank you everyone that commented and asked questions. That was awesome.
yes. That's what makes us, as more and more people learn about this and can tune in live, it's going to make the whole session a lot more interesting for all of us. So I'll let you guys, start some closing comments. I don't know who wants to go first. Bill, you want to go first?
Sure. I just had a lot of fun today. We learned a lot, and I really look forward to having you all join us in the future. Thank you.
All right.
I'm going to tag along with Bill right there. I absolutely enjoy this. I love the questions. I hope thinking outside the box is great. I will be coming from you in North Carolina next week. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the difference of energy is from North Carolina, from Omaha, Nebraska. So
are you going to have your pyramid with you?
I'm going to have my pyramid. I'll take it everywhere if I need to. Absolutely.
Fantastic.
We'll travel.
Yes, it will. Yes,
Well, I am going to do a quick commercial here at the end. Lori and Bill are starting classes after the first of the year. As we mentioned earlier, Bill's doing a introduction to dowsing class, which is beginning on Tuesday, January 7th. And Lori is doing a class on psychic or pyramid psychic enhancement starting on Thursday, January 9th. Both classes start at 9 p.m. Eastern time and will run for 4 weeks. So Bill's will end on Tuesday the 28th and Lori's on Thursday the 30th.
Well, and I just want to say really quickly, Charlie, anyone that has one of those hard to get kind of gifts for people for Christmas, your pyramid is the perfect gift for people. Absolutely. Even for those people with depression, things that where they have, just need healing of any sorts, perfect, ideal gift.
Well, thank you.
And don't forget the chair. Nice, comfortable chair.
That's right.
Yeah.
You want to spend as much time as you can in here.
That's right.
So anyway, as always, we thank you for watching Pyramid Quest this week. We'll be back again next Monday. Lori from North Carolina and Bill and I will still be in our respective locations. We thank you for watching, and you have a great day.